Good afternoon, people of the internet. So, as you can tell, perhaps, I am still in my work clothes, which means I just got back from my job, my other job, my day job, not my writing job, my sales and marketing job, which I do during the week. The good news is I'm still in the mood to be productive, so we're going to do another Let's Read video, and today's book that we will be reading from is The Absentees, which, if you've been following me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so on and so forth, you'll know that book comes out in June. Now, I know I haven't specifically chosen a release date, but I will. I promise I will choose a release date probably sometime this week or perhaps on the weekend, and I will announce it at that time. So I don't know if you can tell. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see it. It says not for resale. That's because this is the Amazon proof. But it is the story that will be published, and let's face it, it's what's on the inside that counts, right? At least that's what I tell myself when I'm feeling very short and clumsy. Okay, so a little background here. The Absentees is a standalone novel. It's about a 16-year-old wannabe daredevil. He thinks he's such a troublemaker, and he is a troublemaker. He is involved in a very serious ATV accident, and as a result of his injuries, he gains the ability to see his invisible classmates. Now, at first it seems like, oh cool, I have a big secret that nobody else knows about, but over time this turns out to not be such a great thing. And later in the story, he is suspected of foul play, of being involved in the disappearance of a classmate who happened to be his crush, Nora. So you can see why this causes a few problems for Evan. Now, this book was written in first-person POV, so I'm not really sure if this is going to be good reading or if it's going to be a little bit weird, but just imagine that this story is being told from the perspective of a 16-year-old guy and not a 29-year-old woman. We're going to see how that goes. It'll be fun. It'll be different for sure, and hopefully it will compel you to buy the book when it comes out in June on some unspecified release day. Okay, first chapter, here we go. Chapter 1. Hold that up to the camera like that. I don't know if you can see it. Possibly. But that's okay if you can't, because I'm going to read it to you. Ready? I'm ready. I don't mean to brag, but I'm a master at the what-if game. What if I hadn't gone out that night? What if there'd been a full moon? Would I have still hit that tree? Probably. I mean, it wasn't exactly going anywhere, and I wasn't exactly sober. And when you put two and two together, you end up with a four-wheeler upside down in the woods and some dumb kid pinned underneath, blacked out like a sky with no moon. The accident wasn't even the worst part. How can it be when I don't remember half of it? No, I think the worst part of any bad thing that happens is who you become after. Like it or not, we're all defined by our trauma, our mistakes. Sometimes you get a fancy label to go with it, like hero or freak, or, in my case, the miracle boy. Mary Lake is a small town, the kind where everyone knows everyone, so statistically I shouldn't have to compete with anyone for the prestigious title of Drunk Idiot of the Year, except that I do, because I'm still competing with my old self. Cool Evan, not his frozen to the ground devil. But what if won't change anything now. I still have to go to school and pretend to be normal. Sit at a desk without falling asleep. Say, fine, when someone asks, how's it going? Oh, and above all, don't let them know you see the invisible kids. Adults get weird about that stuff, and before you know it, you're sitting in one of those big leather chairs and your parents are looking at you like you're a sick dog about to be euthanized. At least, that's how I always picture it. The iffiest of what-ifs. Like I said, I'm good at this game. I walked through the school doors at 8:05 a.m., and sure enough, nothing's changed. Everyone is in their respective clumps like dust in an attic. To my knowledge, no one else can see what I see. I guess they don't want to sit in the leather chair of shame either. I'll admit, there are days I wish I was invisible. Not that I'm dumb enough to let myself fade out, but when you have a reputation you can't shake, disappearing looks a lot like a fresh start. Take Nora Brady, the invisible girl from math class who could probably be a star but is instead a black hole. The deadliest force in the universe, or at least my little corner of it. Anyway, the point is Nora doesn't know I exist, which has more to do with me avoiding her than her ignoring me. I have to avoid her, for my own safety, because she's invisible and I'm not. You know how when you wash a new pair of jeans, sometimes a little bit of the dye comes out? Well, being around Nora is like being a white t-shirt in a washing machine full of dark blue brand new jeans. It rubs off, and before long you start to blend in. Then you disappear. People disappear all the time. Usually they fade in degrees. Take Tommy Peck, for instance. Last week he still had 2 arms and 2 legs, but his hands looked like that thin, shiny plastic you used to wrap your lunch. A few days later his clothes lost their color. Then he was only a head, floating around the halls like a balloon with a brain. That's what the doctors said about my head after I came out of surgery. They told my parents I'd be blind for the rest of my life. Guess I showed them, huh? As I'm unlocking my locker, a strong hand thumps me on the back, making my ears ring. Kai should know better than to administer such macho affection so soon after the accident. Not that I'm fragile or anything, but when you suddenly start seeing things that other people can't, you should probably avoid making the situation worse. We missed you at practice last night, he says as he leans, more like crashes, against a neighboring locker. He's 6'4", about 80% muscle, and 100% obsessed with wrestling. He somehow convinced me to join the team when I was a freshman, and now I get to see my best friend wear tights 3 nights a week. I'll bet Coach was devastated, I reply. Kai shrugs. Not really. Everyone knows you're a giant China doll. He slapped my shoulder again as if to see how easily I'd break. Says the guy who cried when his brother taped over his WrestleMania 21 pay-per-view. Kai's face becomes noticeably redder at the reminder. To help himself relax, he faces the locker and, placing both hands on the door, breathes deeply and arches his back, stretching everything from the shoulders to his calves. He's lucky I know how to fake kick his ass. Kai rolls his head from side to side, loosening up the muscles in his neck. A grin breaks over his face as he turns back to the crowd. Hey, Remy. I missed you last night, too. When Kai discovered that Remy's locker is across the hall from mine, he tried to pay me to switch with him. His locker is on the other side of school, outside the music room where all the band kids hang out. Of course, I said no, because who needs that kind of headache? She pauses in the middle of slathering chemicals all over her face to give him the bird. A finger gesture, Kai feigns horror. In front of the children? The only child I see around here is you. Remy turns back to her magnetic mirror. That's another point in her column. Not that I've been keeping score. Kai makes a big show out of pulling up his pants. In case you were wondering, there's absolutely no chance of Kai Morton becoming invisible. As long as we stay friends, I'm safe too. Hey, Remy, Kai's undeterred. What are you doing Saturday night? Avoiding you. He's practically salivating at this point. So there's this Italian restaurant, thankfully. He doesn't get a chance to finish, before Remy finishes doing her mascara. She closes her mouth, sticks the applicator back in the tube, and crosses the hall to stare Kai down like a matador facing off with a big goofy bull. Naturally, everyone's watching. Remy crosses her arms. You think you're funny? You tell me. On Saturday. I would, but I'm just so busy not giving a shit. Like literally, because we can try the vegan house instead. She snorts. Remy is what you might call popular. She's conventionally attractive and a little mean, but no one holds it against her because they envy how untouchable she is. Except Kai, who doesn't understand boundaries. He reaches for her arm, and she slaps his hand away so fast that for a second, everything below his elbow looks invisible. I hope you fade, Remy hisses. And I hope to see you on Saturday. After Remy walks away, Kai looks at me and smirks. She'll come around. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe is not a word in Kai's vocabulary. Neither is subtle, smooth, or even self-aware. But you can't blame a guy for hoping, because whether you're trapped under an ATV or you think you belong on ATV, everyone wants to be seen. But seriously, where were you last night, Kai asked. I told you I had a doctor's appointment. But you're coming tonight, right? I closed my locker and threw my bag over my shoulder. 2 months ago, I got the all-clear from my doctor to wrestle again, provided I'll stop if anything starts to hurt. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I left out the part about being able to see Nora. If you spent 3 months in ICU watching crappy hospital TV and eating food that tastes like drywall, wouldn't you do anything to avoid going back? Yeah, I say. I'll be there. Kai punches me in the arm, but tones it down a little as Coach Hess walks by, carrying the sports section of the morning newspaper. 3 o'clock, Kai yells as he heads to class. Or I'll kick your ass. You may think I get tired of being Kai's punching bag, but I need this. The pain reminds me that I survived. Whatever happened between me and that tree still isn't over. You know the feeling you get when you walk into a room and forget why you're there? That's how it feels to wake up blind. Lost in a place you've always known, every detail frozen in time. My vision came back, but it didn't come alone. We all have secrets. Even the moon has a side you never see. I don't think I was chosen for anything, although if there was an award for cocky teenagers who go and steal ATVs when drunk, I'd definitely win. I'm just a guy who made a bad call once, and nobody was something to hide. In other words, I'm exactly like everybody else. And that, my friends, was the first chapter of The Absentees. I hope you enjoyed my facial expressions and other attempts to bring that little segment to life. As I said, I felt kind of awkward reading it just because, I'm so far removed from high school. And especially being a 16-year-old guy, which I have zero first-hand experience with. But I had so much fun writing The Absentees, and as if you couldn't tell from how much fun I had reading the first chapter. But I really, really, really hope that you'll consider picking it up in June and possibly reading it. And if you do read it, I would really appreciate if you could please leave a review either on Amazon or Goodreads whenever I get a chance to put it out there. I am going to wrap this video up here and go and do some other things that need to be done. Great being an adult, isn't it? No shortage of things to do. Anyway, if you get a chance, you can check out some of my other videos. I've already posted a reading from the Spirit Catchers as well as Fate Unwritten, so that should keep you busy for a while. If you enjoyed today's reading, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, I do have a couple other stories that I will hopefully get around to reading from. I don't know when. As I said, I do have a day job, so whenever I have some free time, I will do that. Anyway, guys, wherever you are, please stay safe, and as always, it's been great hanging out with you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you when I see you.